Hello everyone, continuing our Prelims 2026 revision session of 360 plus high probability topics. We have covered polity and governance across two sessions, then economy in one session, very important environment and ecology in one session. We are now covering science and technology in this session. Moving forward, I hope you're all revising with high energy and studying with all your might, because these last few days make the difference of how much you have studied throughout the year, how much you're able to remember, how much you're able to aggregate and consolidate in your mind. This is the Industry Connect. You can connect us through our Telegram channel, you can email us, join our WhatsApp channel, and of course, like this video, share it with maximum friends, because these videos are based upon the trends of PYQs from 2018 to 2025. And also, I have tried to combine UPSC, CSE, CDS examinations, and then try to combine the static, evergreen, PYQs, and current affairs together to give you a holistic semblance of revision and set you up with full confidence when you walk into the prelims room. Subscribe to this channel. Moving forward, let's start with science and technology. These are the topics which we are going to cover. Of course, space and ISRO missions, important ones. Quantum technology and semiconductors, which are always in news. In fact, semiconductor has been one of the focus areas of the government. AI, machine learning, and policy. We have had the India AI Summit in February, January and February in the country. We have biotechnology, one of the evergreen topics which always have one or two questions in prelims. Defense technology and indigenization, especially on the onset and 1 year completion of Op Sindoor. Very important topic for this year is nuclear energy and India's three-stage program. We have achieved criticality in our fast breeder reactors, and hence one of the core topics which one should not only have good knowledge about for expecting questions in prelims, but in general, as a citizen, you should know about our inroads into nuclear technology and how we have, through the criticality of our fast breeder reactor, we are now in the elite committee of nations in that technology. And of course, health and diseases outbreak. In fact, hantavirus is one of the recent outbreaks which the entire world community and the World Health Organization community is worried about. Moving forward, the space and ISRO missions, it is always in current affairs, and in every PYQ, you would find one or two questions related to space and space tech. SPADEX is the space docking experiment, which was done in December and January of 2024-2025. It was launched on PSLV C60. India became only the fourth country in the world to demonstrate autonomous space docking. So, what is docking? Basically, two space objects combining together in space. Basically, if you have International Space Station, can you dock another supply ship or a ship taking astronauts to that station together on space? It requires a lot of high-end engineering and technology and science coming together. As you can see, that only USA, USSR, or Russia and China are the three other nations who have achieved this technology. India becomes the fourth in that. Two spacecrafts, SDX-01, which is the chaser, and SDX-02, which was the target, they achieved this docking in space. It is critical for our Bharatiya Antariksh Station, which is planned for the next decade, Chandrayaan 4, and future missions. In fact, we have the Gaganyaan mission, the human space flight, which is coming up, one of the most ambitious missions of our country. So SPADEX becomes a very important stepping stone for this, and we became the fourth country to achieve this technology. NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar, one of the things which I worked during college in my internships. This has a project which has been going on from 2014, and finally we had the launch on 30th July, which I went and visited on and saw this launch by my own eyes in Shar on 30th July 2025. It is one of the greatest synthetic aperture radars, or the best technology synthetic aperture radars, which will give you the full view of the world and inner happenings at regular frequency. It was launched on GSLV F16. It's the world's first dual frequency SAR, which has L band made by NASA and S band made by ISRO. Now, different bands have different wavelengths, which have different penetration capabilities. So, L band and S band, you should actually know about what these bands mean in terms of frequencies and how these bands have their applications. For example, is L band greater penetrating than S band? Then how does it? What is the wavelength? in which L band operates and what is the wavelength for S band. Then there are X band radars, KU band, KA band radars. You should know about the frequencies in which these bands operate and what are the applications. So some high frequency or high energy bands which have shorter wavelengths, they can be more penetrating. They can be lesser penetrating, but they can give you very high accuracy results. While longer bands, which have higher wavelength, they can penetrate more into the soil or into the canopy. So understanding the fundamentals and why only L and S bands were chosen in NISAR becomes very important for observation of agriculture, forestry, and snow or other disaster-related events in our Earth. It has a 12-day Earth observation cycle, a 240-kilometer swath. While swath is basically how much area does the in one satellite sweep is the satellite cover in terms of. So imagine a road in a highway. If it's a two-lane road, it would have a lesser swath than a three-lane road. Similarly, swath is that width which your satellite sees when it goes through looking at the Earth, and it measures ground deformation to millimeter level. That is the kind of accuracy. So if there are landslides or glacial lake outburst events, you can measure all of that using NISAR data. Ice sheets, earthquakes, biomass, and wetlands. All of this become very important. So NISAR, when it starts giving out data from space, will be one of the greatest Earth observation feats which we will achieve using synthetic aperture radar or SAR technology. Gaganyaan G1, it is uncrewed. Vyomamitra humanoid was sent in Jan 2026. Again, there are a few more experiments like G2 uncrewed mission before the crewed flight, which is scheduled this year or next year. Then we have HLVM3, human-rated LVM3 launch vehicle, which will be used for this. Crew escape module test was also done in October 2023 and November 2025, where parachute pack for recovery of our astronauts was done on this. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla flew an Axiom 4 mission in ISS in June 2025. He was the first Indian in 40 years to actually go to space from India after Captain Rakesh Sharma. And when I personally met him, we had a long chat about his learning. So very down to earth human being, the pinnacle of humanity. He is the best of the best in terms of the 1.4 billion population, but still the kind of humility which he had was something to learn. So we are looking forward to all the 4 astronauts who have been designated for our Gaganyaan mission. And this will again pave way for our Bharatiya Antariksh Station or BAS in the coming decades. The future missions are planned, which are Chandrayaan 4. It is a sample return mission from Moon or lunar orbit. So we'll land on Moon, take some samples, and return it to Earth. It is scheduled for 2027. We have LUPEX, which is Chandrayaan 5 with JAXA, Japanese Space Agency, which is ice prospecting of South Pole of Moon in 2028. Venus orbiter mission is planned, which is also called Shukrayaan because Shukra is Venus in 2028. Along with it, Bharatiya Antariksh Station, the first module is planned for 2028 and the full BAS is planned to be operational by 2035. It will be a 20-ton and it will revolve in low Earth orbit of 400 kilometers. Very similar orbit to International Space Station. PSLV C61 is carrying EOS-09 satellite, Earth observation satellite, very high resolution Earth imaging. It failed due to the third stage anomaly. And it was the only 4th PSLV failure in 61 missions of PSLV happened till date. So we right now have another EOS mission ready to go to space, which will provide our country with very high resolution Earth imaging capabilities. And PSLV has been our workhorse for missions. There are also private companies like Skyroot, Agnikul, Astrofel, and Ethereal X, which are trying to build launch vehicles in our country. And these are private players. So in the coming years, you will see that we'll have a space ecosystem like US, where private players go hand in hand with ISRO, and ISRO takes up more research-oriented activities, while the launch and the satellite building activities are taken up by the private players. And NSIL, New Space India Limited, is ISRO's commercial arm, which helps in private startups and also ISRO commercialize its own research and other capabilities. LVM3 is very high tonnage rocket, or the highest tonnage rocket which we have in our fleet, which is the GSLV. It has launched AST space module Bluebird satellites, which is a US company. So we also consistently launch foreign made satellites. That shows the reliability of our launch vehicles. So LVM3 M6 in December 2025 through its AST mobile Bluebird, carried the heaviest payload by Indian rocket, which was about 6,100 kgs or more than 6 tons. InSpace is Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. It works very closely with private startups to provide them markets, to provide them exposure to international markets as well as national markets, provides seed funds, and basically it helps in invigorating the entire space tech entrepreneurship ecosystem in India. And we have talked about the private space companies. In fact, Skyroot became the first space tech unicorn, having valuation greater than 1.1, having valuation greater than 1 billion in our country. Other notable space tech startups are Pixel, Satsure, Digantara, who have raised a lot of funds and are doing good work in space tech industry in the country. Coming on to quantum technology and semiconductors, National Quantum Mission was launched in April 2023. 6,000 plus crores were allocated for it for the period of 8 years. In fact, 8,000 crores were allocated for different things. DST is the nodal body, Department of Science and Technology, is the nodal body for National Quantum Mission. There are 4 T hubs or technology hubs at IISc, which is quantum computing, for IIT Bombay, which is for quantum communication, IIT Madras for quantum sensing, and IIT Delhi for quantum materials. So again, 3 very important concepts. One, what is National Quantum Mission? About 8,000 crores were allocated for it. DST is a nodal body. 4 technology hubs are made for it. And what are the essential components of any quantum mission? It is computing, communication, sensing, and materials. The target is to have 50 to 1,000 qubit computers by 2031. Qubit versus normal bit. Well, a classical bit is binary. It is either 0 or 1, or it is on and off. So in a transistor, if you switch off something, it is 0. If you switch on something or current flows, it is 1. Qubit is essentially a superposition of 0 and 1. Basically, it has probabilities. Hence, it can have infinite number of probabilities associated with it. So a large number of information can be stored in a single qubit, while in a bit, you can store only 2 sets of information, either 0 and 1. Hence, quantum computers are extremely good in computing capabilities. In fact, you would have seen various comparisons that computation which Google's quantum computer did, Syracuse, in a few seconds or minutes would have taken a normal supercomputer thousands of years. And this is due to this capability of qubit, which can have probabilistic values from 0 to 1. Entanglement also. So there is something called quantum entanglement, in which 2 qubits can interact with each other into very different geographical location, and it allows for instant correlation. Then there is quantum advantage for specific problems like factoring, optimization, and simulation. It is not faster for classical than classical for all tasks. So you need to understand that quantum computer is good for some very specific mathematical calculations like factoring, optimization, and simulation of very specific mathematical equations. It doesn't mean that everything which a normal computer or supercomputer can do can be bettered by quantum computer. Hence, we need both types of computations. Majorana one chip, which was one of the PYQs also asked, it is actually built by Microsoft, and it has topological qubits using Majorana fermions. Well, fermions are one of the key subatomic particles. You don't need to go into the depth of it. Just remember that Majorana used fermions, or qubits can also use fermions. It is more stable, less error prone than superconducting qubits. Again, what are superconducting qubits? Superconduction is at temperatures which is much less than room temperatures. So when you create superconducting materials, there is very less loss in terms of transfer of electricity or heat in superconducting materials. And when you have superconducting qubits, similarly, drawing a parallel, there would be much less loss of information. It has a potential path to 1 million qubits. Now imagine with just 50 to 1,000 qubit computers, which India as a whole is targeting by 2031. Here, Microsoft as a company is targeting about 1 million qubits using and designing chips for that. It is so you don't need to know about topological or braiding of anyons. Just understand these are the terms associated. Fermions, anyons, or topological things are associated with quantum computing. India's 1,000-kilometer quantum secure communication link was established by DRDO in 2026. Now, it is a huge achievement in terms of attaining cryptography or having secured communication from space, and also your defense communication becomes more secure if you can achieve this quantum secure communication link. It uses QKD, which is quantum key distribution. Again, a very technical term. You don't need to know in depth about it. It uses a protocol called BB84. The physics of quantum mechanics prevents eavesdropping by any interception disturbs the quantum state and it is detectable. Basically, quantum communication is the most secure form of communication till now, and China and US have made extremely high inroads into it. In fact, now most of the satellites which China sends in space have quantum secure encoders and decoders. So we are also working towards it. India Semiconductor Mission, it is about 80,000 crore mission. It also has PLI. So Tata, along with PSMC in Dholera, is going to establish a 28 nanometer fab. Uh, Prime Minister, in his current visit of Netherlands, has announced a partnership between Tata and ASML, which is ASML is one of the most important countries in semiconductor value chain in the entire world because it does lithography. Even China has not cracked that technology, and hence its partnership with Tata to establish the fab in Dholera becomes very important strategically. And then there is Micron plant coming in Sanand, again in Gujarat. There is Keynes plant in Sanand. Tata OSAT plant in Assam. It is near Guwahati. And we have CG Power and Renaissance plant in Sanand. So you can see that in Indian Semiconductor Mission, now we are going to establish our own fabs. Currently, we are going for 28 nanometer fabs, which is already a mature technology. In fact, the world is moved on. TSMC has moved on to less than 7 nanometer fabs. But still, we have to get there because these chips are very important both for defense and civilian use cases. In fact, in your vehicles, electronic items, and your defense equipment, everything has thousands and millions of chips, and chip shortage is one of the most critical geopolitical risks which any country has in the current world. So it's a good step, Indian Semiconductor Mission. ISM 2.0 also figured in Budget 26-27, which targets equipment, materials, and IP design. So we are not only targeting design of the we are not only targeting design of the fabs, but also the IP of that design and also material sciences related to it. The semiconductor supply chain context, Taiwan controls 92% of the leading edge chips, less than 7 nanometer chip design. 92% or more than 90% is controlled by one company in the world, which is TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. And hence Taiwan becomes very important geopolitically in terms of US and China competition. China-Taiwan tensions. Why has China not attacked Taiwan till now? And why China protects Taiwan? A major role is played by TSMC and how important these less than 7 nanometer chips are for the entire functioning of the world's technological power prowess. The US CHIPS Act of 2022 allocates more than $50 billion for manufacturing greater high strategic chips like 7 nanometer or less in US. There is EU CHIPS Act, which is more than $40 billion in 2023. India is currently focusing on 28 nanometers, but it is critical for automobiles, industrial, and defense technologies. Coming on to AI, machine learning, and policy, India AI Mission. It was launched from 2024 to 2029 by MeitY, Ministry of Electronics and Technology, in Electronics, Information Technology. So it has more than 10,000 crores of budget allocated to it. Seven major pillars. One is AI computer infra. 18,000 plus GPUs are procured till now. Foundational model development. Now, foundational model is not only LLMs, large language models, but also geo foundational models or visual large language models. Then we have AI Kosh, which is National Data Set Platform. So data is one of the core things on which AI infrastructure is built or foundation models are built. Then you have the app development ecosystem or Bhashini, which is for multilingual AI. You have a private startup called Servam AI, which is developing multilingual LLMs for India. Then you have AI future skills, startup financing, and safe and trustworthy AI. So whenever India will launch any new technology, it will also always have the ethical domain associated with it, which is the safe and trustworthy AI. Startup financing goes hand in hand. AI future skilling will always be there. And apart from that, you'd have the compute infra, which is the energy and infrastructure layer, foundation model development, AI Kosh, which is the national data set layer. Kosh, you can relate with data set, and then app development like Bhashini, which is multilingual AI for India. In global AI governance, you have the EU AI Act in 2024, which is risk-based regulation. So basically, it categorizes different AI risks on unacceptable, high, limited, and minimal. Then there is US Executive Order on Safe AI in October 2023. Global AI Safety Summits happened in Bletchley Park in UK, Seoul in 2024, and Paris AI Action Summit, which India and France had co-chaired. And then we had the India AI Summit in 2026 February. So In fact, it was one of the India AI Summit was one of the most successful summits in the world, where more than 80 countries signed on the Delhi Declaration for AI governance and future of AI, and more than 1,000 different startups from nations participated. We had the major players like Anthropic, OpenAI sharing stage together with the Honorable PM. So India showed its prowess not only in developing applications over AI, but also being the fundamental player across all five layers, as our mighty minister Ashwini Vaishnav had told in World Economic Forum that India is trying to lead across all the five domains, which is the energy layer, that is preparing enough energy for the data centers and other AI infrastructure to be built. Then you have the infra layer, which is data centers, GPUs, etc. Then you have the AI model layer, like the LLMs. Example, you have Servam AI LLM. Then a few other private players are also building it. Then you have app development over it, like Bhashini and other private players building apps over that layer. So you have five layers of AI over which India is working simultaneously. Then what are the generative AI concepts? There are LLMs, which are large language models. We talked about VLMs, visual language models, Geo AI foundational models. They are trained on massive data sets. There is something called transformation architecture, RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback, hallucination problem, diffusion model for images. So these are some of the terms which you should know about are associated with AI: LLMs, RLHF, deep learning, reinforcement learning, transformer architecture, massive data sets, hallucination, diffusion model. Then what is AI in UPSC relevant domain? Well, in our budget, the finance minister declared something called Bharat Vistar, which is for agri or farmers in the country. So AI for farmers, or Fasal.ai is also there. For health, AIMS AI diagnostics was announced. Judiciary, SUVAS for Supreme Court translation. Defense, we have autonomous swarms, cyber AI. In fact, it was used extensively in Operation Sindoor. Then tax and faceless assessment is done. Governance, Umang, and e-codes. All of that has AI adoption. We talked about Bhashini, which is the application layer for multilingual AI, national language translation platform, 22 scheduled languages of our constitution. It is an open API. It means that it can be used by different startups as APIs into their own products, and it is open for the public to use. It powers things like Diksha, e-codes translation, Arogya Setu app, Digibox, and Bhashni integration has been done. And multilingual voice interfaces help for low literacy users. So it will not only help in technology adoption, but also in day-to-day functioning of the entire population of the country. If they are able to interact with technology in their own language, that leads to a huge productivity boost. Then there are AI concerns like deep fakes. Election Commission advisory, in fact, came in 2024. Before elections, we should not believe upon the deep fake videos which come across as WhatsApp forwards or on our social media channels. Then algorithmic bias in credit and insurance, autonomous weapons using AI, something called laws, lethal autonomous weapon systems, and India's position at CCW, support human control always. So basically, India's point is clear that humans should always be at the regulating and ethical layer of the AI. No matter how much we talk about AGI, artificial general intelligence, but human ethics and human intervention in terms of decision making should always be there to ensure that AI is used as a tool for betterment of humanity and not as a tool for oppressing humanity. Coming on to biotechnology, CRISPR vaccines and health tech. Well, CRISPR-Cas9 was invented or discovered by Jennifer Doudna and Charpentier, who got the Nobel Chemistry Prize in 2020, Nobel Prize for Chemistry. These are molecular scissors. Now, UPSC has asked it multiple times in its PYQs. Molecular scissor, CRISPR-Cas9. It helps in guided RNA and directs Cas9 endonuclease to target the DNA sequence. Basically, you can take out any DNA sequence from somewhere and put it somewhere else to create vaccines or to treat diseases. And it creates double strand break. Basically, DNA is a double strand. So it actually breaks the double strand and takes one part of that strand to other. It helps in cell repairs. So example, loss of function in some cells has happened, or some precision edit needs to happen at some cells. It helps in all of that. And Cassavevi was FDA approved. It was the first CRISPR therapy for sickle cell disease. So very important, FDA approved in December 2023 something called Casgevy, which is the first CRISPR technology based therapy for sickle cell disease. Now, what are mRNA vaccines, which came into news during COVID? They delivered mRNA, or ribosomes produce antigen protein, for immune response. It is very important. So mRNA is based on the concept where ribosomes actually produce the antigens or proteins, and it helps in immune response. There is no live virus which is used here. It is easily designed, and it was used by different companies or platforms like Moderna for Spikevax, or Pfizer for the vaccine called Comirnaty. Now, for mRNA vaccine, it requires a lot of very high tech cold chain, like minus 70 degrees Celsius is required to store these vaccines. And hence, some of these vaccines we were unable to use in India because we did not have the cold chain infrastructure then. Bharat Biotech is developing mRNA flu vaccine. So mRNA, very important. It is not live virus which is used here. It is used, ribosomes are used to produce the antigen protein for immune response. Monoclonal antibodies, or MAbs, well, these are lab produced single clone antibodies. It is produced by hybridoma technology. Well, you should remember that hybridoma technology, monoclonal antibodies, and it is a single clone antibody which is produced in lab. It is used in treatment of cancer, autoimmune diseases, COVID. And it was also asked in protein prelim 2025 prelims as Y-shaped proteins that bind specific antigens. So specifically, monoclonal antibody bodies, Y-shaped protein, etc., they keep on coming in different PYQs. So you should know about these terms: MAbs, autoimmune diseases, hybridoma technology. Then there is something called CAR T cell therapy, which is short form for chimeric antigen receptor T cells, where patient T cells are extracted and they are genetically engineered to target cancer. They can be reinfused. So NextCAR19 is developed by IIT Bombay and Tata Memorial together for the CAR T cell therapy. It is the India's first generation CAR T cell therapy, uh, which was developed by IIT Bombay and Tata Memorial. DCGI approved it in 2024. It costed between 30 to 40 lakhs only, while if you import this technology or therapy, it would cost 4 to 5 crores. So basically, very important. IIT Bombay and Tata Memorial together developed India's first indigenous CAR T technology called NextCAR19, and it costs significantly less, about 10 to 12 times lesser than imported technology. What does it do? It extracts patients' T cell to genetically engineer and target cancer cells. Genomics in India, well, we have the Indigen program by CSIR in 2019. It did genome sequencing of more than 1,000 plus Indians to understand genetic diversity. So, Indigen program, genome sequencing of 1,000 plus Indians to understand the genetic diversity, done by CSIR in 2019. Then there is another project called Genome India project, which did 10,000 whole genome sequences of Indians, and it was critical for pharmacogenomics, which is drug metabolism. So, pharmacogenomics means, can you build or administer drugs which are specifically targeting your or based upon your genomics? If we can start building not generic drugs but drugs which are catered to the genetics of that specific individual, then it would become more effective, and hence the term pharmacogenomics. And drug metabolism, it varies by ethnicity or different genetic architectures, and hence the Genome India project, which mapped 10,000 whole genome sequence, becomes very important. We have something called Biopharma Shakti, which was declared in budget 2026-27. 10,000 crores were given for 5 years for biologics, biosimilars, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research. So you should understand that biologics and biosimilars, what is the concept behind it? How do you create medicines which are based on biological similarity? And why are NIPERs needed to do this fundamental research? So NIPERs are national institutions of importance, like IITs, in the field of biopharma and biochemistry. Then there are 1,000 plus GCP compliant clinical trial sites in India, which are going to come up through the Biopharma Shakti program. And India is the third largest pharma producing country by volume, 11th largest by value. In terms of generic medicine, 20% of the global supply chain by volume is contributed by India. In fact, Indian companies and the pharma companies are extremely important for taking care of the population of global south in Africa, Asia, etc. Because not only we provide quality medicines, but we also provide it in very cost-effective manner, which helps uh, populations across the world to have significant share of medicine and health technology at very effective rates. Moving forward, let's move on to defense technology and indigenization. Well, Tejas Mark 1A is the fourth generation light combat aircraft which is designed indigenously in our country, and the program is going on from 1980s. It now has active AESA, which is active electronically scanned array radar called Uttam radar, again indigenously designed. It has a glass cockpit, beyond visual range missiles, Astra missiles, which are again designed by DRDO. IF has ordered 83 aircraft in 2021 and 97 more were ordered in 2024, taking the number to more than 180 aircrafts which are planned. And it replaces our MiG-21 fleet, which are named as Flying Coffin. In fact, they are now retired from the service, and Tejas Mark 1A is going to take place of MiG-21s and form the backbone of our aircraft or fighter aircraft fleet for the coming decades to come. It is based on G404 engine, which is the major blocker here because these engine have faced delays in delivery from Boeing and G. Sorry, from G. General Electric is the organization which manufactures these engines, and US. So when you are relying on some other country for your critical defense purposes, these things will happen based upon the geopolitics of that time. Companies delay the production as well as delivery of these critical items. Now, we have also purchased about 31 units of MQ-9B Predator drones from UA in a $4 billion deal, and it is a high altitude long endurance drone, which is called Hail drone. We also have middle altitude or mid altitude long endurance drone called Mail drone. Hail drones generally fly at 50,000 feet ceiling and have 40-hour endurance. They are armed capable with Hellfire missiles, and these are split between Navy, which has gotten 15 of them, and then RB and IAF, which have gotten 8 each. There is geospatial sharing agreement as a precondition for these MQ-9B Predator drones. BrahMos exports. Well, we are exporting BrahMos after the grand success in Op Sindoor, and even before that, the world knew that BrahMos is the most capable supersonic cruise missile in the world. Philippines has signed for 3 batteries. India's first major weapon export of BrahMos exports happened to Philippines. Then Vietnam, we are having negotiations with them. Indonesia is interested. It is a supersonic cruise missile. It means supersonic means greater than the speed of sound. Mach 2.8 is basically 2.8 times greater than the speed of sound. We have ballistic missiles, cruise missiles. You need to know about the difference between both of them. We also had Pralay missile, which India tested recently, and one very important test was of Agni MIRV missile. So you need to know what MIRV is. Basically, multiple injection re-entry vehicle where one single warhead can split into multiple warheads and can target different locations from your single missile. And India became one of the very few countries in the world to have MIRV technology through our Agni program. The range of BrahMos can be from 290 to 450 kilometers after India joined MTCR, the Missile Technology Control Regime. And you should actually know about the different control regimes across small arms, missile technology, chemical, biological, and nuclear. What are the bodies which control these critical technologies? Many questions have been asked in the PYQs. 5 positive indigenization lists. So more than 500 defense items cannot be imported now. They must be procured domestically. IDEX challenges have been given by MOD, where different Indian startups indigenously are participating in these challenges, designing indigenous solutions, and then Ministry of Defense is actually funding or providing seed fund for development of these technologies so that these startups can now grow and we can have a very vibrant private ecosystem which contributes and becomes the defense military industrial complex of our country. DRDO also does tech transfer to private sector regularly. Then there is something called Defense India Startup Challenge along with the IDEX challenges. Then INS Surat, which is Project 15B of 2024, it is a Vishakhapatnam class destroyer, most advanced surface combatant or the most advanced destroyer in our fleet till now. It has BrahMos and Barak surface-to-air missiles, SAM, vertical launch systems. It is manufactured at Mazgaon docks, and India's fourth Project 15B destroyer. So INS Vikrant was the first indigenous aircraft carrier which we built. So we have 2 aircraft carriers now, INS Virat and INS Vikrant, which protect our seas in the western and the eastern front. Op Sindoor in 2025, we all know about it. I don't need to go into the details of it, but you should know what were the weapons systems which were used in Op Sindoor. How did we So there is something called IACCS, which is Integrated Air Command and Control System, where we used 4 or 5 different layers of protection in the defense of our country from enemy drones, missiles, and loitering munitions. Very important, nuclear energy in India's three-stage program. Well, it was started by Dr. Homi Jahangir Bhabha, who is called the father of nuclear program in India in 1954. The stage one was to build pressurized heavy water reactors, PHWR, using natural uranium fuel. Stage two was to build fast breeder reactors, for which we have reached criticality now. In fact, the Honorable PM also mentioned it on his Twitter and was covered widely by the national and international media. So it uses plutonium 239 and bred from uranium 238 with a thorium blanket, which produces uranium 233. Now, why achieving criticality in the fast breeder reactor, which is stage two of our nuclear program, becomes very important? Because we have more than 25% of global thorium reserves through monazite sands in Kerala. Now, with this, we can use that thorium reserve to continuously keep on building fuel without depending on other countries for fuel of uranium 238. What is important is that you should know the chemistry behind the PHWR, which is pressurized heavy water reactor, and fast breeder reactor, and why, how using thorium you can actually replace, or you can actually have your own fuel rather than having just uranium 238 as a source. So how is uranium 233 now being used along with plutonium? Stage 3 has advanced heavy water reactors using uranium 233 and thorium 232 fuel. So this is what now we are working towards after achieving criticality in stage 2. The current stage, stage 1 is operational. 22 reactors are there which are producing about 7 gigawatts or 7,000 megawatts of power till now. Stage 2, which is prototype fast breeder reactor at Kalapakkam, achieved criticality. And stage 3 is in design phase. India has the fourth largest thorium reserves, 25%, hence this strategy. Now, nuclear fuel cycle in India, uranium mining started in Jadugoda mines in Jharkhand. It is the only commercial mines in Jharkhand, in the country. And processing is done in NFC in Hyderabad. Heavy water plants are there in Kota, Manuguru, Tuticorin and Baroda. And reprocessing plutonium happens at Tarapur and Kalapakkam. Well, you might not remember all of this related to different nuclear plants, but you should definitely remember where our indigenous nuclear plants are, like Tarapur, Rawat Bhata, Kalapakkam, etc. You should know these sites. Along with it, you should also know about Jadugoda mines and heavy water reactors plants. Where are they present? Civil nuclear deals happened. It's called Indo-US 123 Agreement in 2008. IAEA safeguards on civil nuclear reactors. So there are two categories of nuclear reactors or nuclear uses. One is civil and military. For civil, IAEA keeps in constant accountability and auditing of these nuclear reactors. And India got the waiver from Nuclear Supply Group or NSG in 2008. So it can trade in nuclear materials despite not signing NPT, which is Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. In NPT, India, Pakistan, and Israel, all three are non-signatories. And CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, India has signed, but it has not ratified. So you should know about NPT and CTBT, important topics for mains, and especially for people in PSIR. Then Kudnakunam nuclear plant, it has Russian technology reactors. It is in Tamil Nadu, operational 1+2 units, and 3 and 4 units are under construction. 5 and 6 will follow. Russia India dealt for 6 units signed in 2008. Rosatom is the Russian state nuclear energy company which is designing the Kudnakulam nuclear plant. And fusion energy. So all of this nuclear technology, the three-stage nuclear program, is based upon nuclear fission, which is you break one atom using a very high-speed neutron. The essential concept remains constant across different kinds of reactors. And you also cool it using different kinds of coolants. Like in pressurized heavy water reactors, you use D2O or deuterium oxide. But fusion reaction is something which as a humankind it's very difficult to master. And most of the stars, they gather their energy through nuclear fusion. In fact, sun of produces its energy through nuclear fusion. uh, ITER, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor in France, is working on nuclear fusion. India is one of the 7 partners. Other partners are EU, USA, Russia, China, Japan, and South Korea. And it is currently working on providing a 50 megawatt output from just a 500 megawatt output from a 50 megawatt input. So basically, you first have to do a nuclear fission in order to start a nuclear fusion. And first plasma was delivered in 2025. India's role in this ITER is supplying cryostat and magnets and also involved shielding. So we are providing the cryo technology. Cryo technology is also used in the third stage of rockets. Basically, it is super cooling technology, and also the magnets. So we have also provided magnets for other critical missions or critical scientific experiments of the world in CERN, like the Large Hadron Collider, and also the involved shielding for it. China has proclaimed that it has made artificial sun through its tokamak reactors in fusion energy. So one should know about that too. Then the health and disease outbreaks, and also One Health concept. Well, mpox or monkeypox. So one of the things which is not covered in the slides is the Hanta virus, which is in news right now, and it has 40% or more fatality rate. So you should know about it. WHO declared in August that in Democratic Republic and East Africa, there is an outbreak of monkeypox in 2022. India reported 30 plus imported cases. So mpox is from pox virus family, and smallpox medicine or vaccine provides cross protection. So if you have taken smallpox vaccine, then you are fairly protected from mpox virus also. And this has originated in the West Africa and East Africa region, Democratic Republic of Congo region. Marburg virus or MVD, it is also called filovirus. It is the same family as Ebola. So Ebola virus originated in Africa. Case fatality rate is very high, from 24 to 90%. And Rwanda outbreak happened in 2024. It is a BSL level 4 pathogen with no approved vaccine. So Ebola virus, Marburg virus, recently they don't have any approved vaccine, but I don't know. Like in the point is that scientists are working on it, and there are proxy vaccines like the smallpox vaccine provides a proxy protection from mpox. There can be other vaccines also who could provide proxy protection from Marburg and Ebola. So India was on alert for Marburg virus, similar to the Ebola virus condition. Nipah virus started in Kerala through a bat infection. And again, the fatality rate here was very high, 40 to 70%. No approved vaccine was there. Outbreaks keep on happening 2018, 21, 23. It is also BSL-4. It is Henipa virus family and treated with supportive care and investigation, monoclonal antibodies. We have read about monoclonal antibodies in the previous slides. Then H5N1 avian influenza, again a highly pathogenic avian influenza, HPAI it is called. It spread to US dairy cattle for the first time because of humans' contact with the cattle, and fatality rate again very high, up to 60%. It has a pandemic risk if human to human transmission is established, and that's why India culled 1 lakh plus birds in Himachal Pradesh in 2025. What is the One Health approach? Well, World Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO), and WAH, they had a tripartite agreement. And the World Organization Animal Health had a tripartite agreement recognizing the interconnection of human, animal, and environmental health. So basically, One Health approach means that not only focusing on human health, but also animal and environmental health together. Only then will we be able to control these disease outbreaks or the virus outbreaks, which lead to epidemic and pandemic situations. You should also know the differences between these specific terms. What is an epidemic? What is a pandemic? How do we classify? Who classifies it? What is the level of spread on which one classifies something as epidemic or pandemic or a local disease? Then zoonotic diseases are 60% of the emerging infectious diseases. So most of the diseases which are emerging and infectious, these are zoonotic diseases, 60% or more. And India's National One Health Mission was established in 2024. It integrates ICMR, ICAR, and MOEFCC. So basically, environment, animals, and human medical condition. You should remember the One Health approach: human, animal, and environment. In India, One Health Mission was taken in 2024. It integrates ICMR, ICAR, and MOEFCC. What is CEPI? It is Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. India is the founding member of CEPI, and it has a 100 days mission to develop vaccine prototype within 100 days of pathogen identification. We did make inroads during the COVID time, where we were able to develop indigenous vaccine for COVID very quickly, and hence 100 days mission is a mission which is taken up for any kind of vaccine prototyping. And India's BIREC has funded mRNA platform development. We have seen that how cold chain infrastructure is very important for mRNA development and storage. Bharat Biotech, Serum Institute, Zydus, these are the major partners for India's BIREC for developing the mRNA platform. So that's it for science and technology. We'll meet for other subjects like and share this video. Go through the previous sessions on polity, economy, and environment. They will not only increase your confidence, but will also help you revise the static connected with PYQs and current affairs together. So hope you enjoyed the session. See you for other subjects too.